All right. So I talked a couple weeks ago about my buddy slash long snapper slash guy that I've known for, I think it's about 10 years now, Roen McCullough. Roen is someone who I've known, I would say, for a decade, maybe longer, maybe a little bit less. I'm not sure. Time kind of just blends at this point. He'd gone through a horrific accident where he was coming through a tunnel. There's a guy stopped. Boom, he stops. Guy pulling an Ford F-250 carrying a tractor slams in the back of him. Rowan's hood goes up like this and decides, I'm going to slice his eye in half. And he has to lose the eye. As this is happening, blood everywhere, he decides, I'm going to call 911 and I'm going to call my mom and say, hey, Mom, not doing so well. You might want to throw some extra prayers my way. I text him the next couple days, and the dude is chipper. And I'm like, what's happening? Like, this is not a human being. There's no way. So let's bring on Roen McCullough. I want to talk to him about the updates on how he's doing.
Hello.
Where are you, Roen?
I should be in.
Oh, there you are, my man.
What's up?
Well, number one, your hair looks fantastic as always.
So does yours.
I shaved for you today. Nice trim. But your hair is always. What kind of product do you put in your hair?
Hairspray. Yeah. I took a page out of your book. I lined my beard up with conditioner and use conditioner. It's great. It's better than shaving cream.
And it's very, very cheap at Costco. They look at me a little weird for using it, but for you, I'm assuming they would not look weird at it because you have such beautiful flowing hair. Rowan, thanks for coming on, my man. How you feeling?
Hey, if I was any better, I'd be you. I living life. Couldn't be happier. Honestly, I think this is probably the best thing that has ever happened to me. Second to coming to your camps.
Well, of course. Okay, so you're going to watch this right now and say, dude, he's drunk, or there's no way he can say this. What makes you say that? What makes you say this is the second best thing that's happened to me?
So long story short, I know I talked to you about it. I'm big into my faith.
Okay.
It's pulled me through a lot of this. And, I like to say the greatest form of love is sacrifice. Not to preach on your podcast and take over.
Preach away, Daddy, because I've got like 4 questions about this.
Love it. So greatest form of love is sacrifice, right? Obviously in the Christian faith, that is shown as, Jesus dying on the cross for our sins. With this, I had a lot of seasons in my life that led up to this that just solidified my faith, that I questioned God. And I said, hey, God, why me? Why me? Why me? And the resounding answer to that is, why not me? Right. Mm-hmm. And so if I didn't have that backbone of my faith, going through the situation would have been incredibly hard. So going back to the sacrifice example, if I have to lose my eye, and in quality of life really hasn't been that bad, adjustments have been coming along pretty easily. But if I have to lose my eye for, probably 75 to 80 conversations now of people either saying, hey, I was either lukewarm in my faith and now I'm on fire for God, or I was vehemently opposed to religion and now I want to have a conversation about it. If I have to lose an eye to even turn one of those people to God or to the faith, I think I'm doing a good job. So, and I think God's used me well in stewarding this gift well.
So you're basically saying, hey, if God came down and says, hey, Rowan, let me have your right eye, and it'll make people more religious, you'd be like, sign me up, Daddy.
Absolutely. I'd say, hey, you can have my arm next week and my leg the week after. I hope to God not, let's be honest. But if that's what's going to really bring people to the faith, I think that's, what I have to do. And in the background, it's actually funny. So I have my own men's ministry that I run called Better Man. And it talks about, how to be a man according to the Bible and the principles of biblical masculinity and really what it means in a biblical sense. And, I had a group of men that I was ministering to before this that led up to the accident that has really strengthened my faith. And so when this happened, I think it really solidified a lot of their faith, and just being able to see them as men step up and put themselves in my shoes and do things for me that could have far superseded my expectations. It's just been a blessing having men like that in my life and just elite level men like that in my life.
Well, and I think that's so important nowadays because I think the past, let's say, decade almost, men have been kind of pushed aside and it's been almost toxic, quote unquote, masculinity. Like, oh, that's a bad thing. Like, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I think it's switching around now to where it's okay to have some dude friends. It's okay to do stupid dude shit together and just be dudes. You know, I mean,
so going into that, I think you hit on a great point. I think it's twofold. So from a relational perspective, I think men need other men to go to, right? Especially elite level men. They need other men to go to. Your wife isn't your vessel to go dump everything on and say, hey, handle my shit. That's not it. You have to have other men in your life, right? So there's that, number one. And number two, from a culture sense, there is a sense of the third wave feminism, the toxic masculinity, which is utter bullshit, to be honest. To be completely frank with, what is the number one way that Satan's going to try to derail the country? He's going to try to take strong men out of pivotal positions, right? And he's going to attack families, and he's going to tell men, hey, you being a man and putting your foot down and being able to say, hey, I'm a man and here are the things that I stand for. It's just he's trying to emasculate. Satan's trying to emasculate our country, and I mean we see that through popular culture nowadays. So I think just having this men's group, and honestly, this situation has just been a catalyst for everything that we've been preaching in that group.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I love women. I'm married to a woman. I think she's fantastic. My aunts are women. It's one of those things. But you cannot, unless you are in a coma, you have to understand that men are men, women are women, and they're just so different. I mean, and if you think they're the same, because even if you guys have the same exact hobbies, there's still, you're looking at it a different way. I'm looking at it a different way. I'm reading it some way. I'm talking about it differently. I'm finding certain things humorous where they aren't, where they're finding some things that are humorous that I'm not.
Yep, I think you hit the nail on the head. And I think it goes back to when you're teaching us how to long snap and you say, hey, they're both like a marriage, right? Yeah. You can't have one overpowering the other. I like to say they're equal in worth, different in design.
Ooh, say that again?
Men and women are equal in worth, just different in design.
Ooh, I like that. Jenna, write that down. That's pretty damn good. Equal. You didn't come up with that.
So actually it's through our group. There's a great resource for everyone listening, and there's a great resource called Better Man. And they teach a lot of this, of how men are taught to be emotional, physical, and spiritual providers, but also emotional, physical, and spiritual protectors. Men are supposed to handle everything outside of the home. Women are supposed to handle everything inside of the home. And there's a little give and take. There's some gray areas within that, but obviously there's roles that men and women are supposed to have.
Okay, so where can people find out about this? Because we'll have Jenna write this up on the screen. Is it just like betterman.com or?
Yeah, it's betterman.com. Betterman.com is the overarching ministry, but you can go in there and have your own small group and really found it there. I tailored my group to just elite level men. I think one thing coming out of college was that identity crisis that not many people talk about of, I'm a football player until I'm not. And then what am I? And that was something that I struggled with myself, and then really bolstering myself in this group and having this ministry really helped me.
Do people have to do this? Like because I have a feeling people are going to want to contact you after. They can find you on LinkedIn, Facebook, all that good stuff. But if someone wants to be a part of your Better Man group, can they do it via satellite, or do they have to be in the Ohio region?
No, Ohio is great. We meet in the short north down in Columbus, but people Zoom into group, and I have one of my best friends, I believe, is down in Tennessee, and he Zooms in, video calls in every Monday.
Okay, so let me go, because I got to ask the questions that people want to know.
Yeah,
you're going through the tunnel. All of a sudden, oh my God, there's a car stopped. Your butthole goes like this. You slam on the brake. The car hits. And at this point, is it like slow motion where you see the hood going like this, or does everything boom, 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 boom?
So it was weird, because I'm going to be honest, I'm a fast driver. I'm typically a self-proclaimed distracted driver. In this instance, this is how I know it was God ordained. I wasn't even listening to music, wasn't on my phone, wasn't doing any of that. It just happened. And I remembered I was watching it. I was watching the car in front of me. They swerved out of the way. I smack into the back of this other car. I didn't have time to react. And then all of a sudden, I think the first impact is what brought the hood through and what hit my face. The second impact is what spun me around from the F-350 that hit me from behind, spun me around. And that's when I was out of breath for a second, and I breathed in, and I was like, damn, I felt like I just got hit by like a Joey Bosa or a Chase Young. And because I mean, punt protection, they were just bull rushing. You can't do that. It's a Ferrari on ice, right? Going straight, controlled chaos. And I kick my door open. My door is locked. I kick my door open, get out, and I so not to be too graphic.
No, let it rain, Eddie.
All right, let's let it rain. I grabbed my eye, and I was like, why can't I see? And I'm like wiping my eye because I thought there was something in it. And I was like, oh shit, like I think I'm blind. Didn't really register automatically. And then I started grabbing my face, and my hands went in my head. And I was like something inside. It was really weird because I wasn't like super serious. And I was like, oh, that probably shouldn't happen. Yeah. And I bent over at first, and the sound of, when you're in the, maybe not you, but Jenna, when you're in the shower and you're wringing your hair out and the water splashes on the ground, that's when I bent forward and the blood splashed on the ground. And I was like, oh, I'm bleeding pretty bad right now. And I looked at somebody and I said, hey, because this one girl was freaking out. I look at her and I was like, hey, call 911. We're going to Ohio State. Because I knew in my head, my mom would want me to go to Ohio State. There's some pretty sketchy hospitals around here, and I was one of them. I then called my mom. I told somebody to call my mom, and I just remember I like to say that I acted tough. She said I used my little kid voice, but I was like, hey, mama, I split my face in half. I think I'm dying. I think I'm going to die. Just know that I love you. Oh. And then I got off the phone. And then I asked a family if they had diapers, and I grabbed 3 diapers from this family. I felt bad. They were driving a white Kia, and I had blood all over their door, and I felt horrible about it.
Who the hell thinks to ask for diapers? Did you see a kid?
I saw the kid in the back. There was a kid in the back.
Hey, Jesus, how the hell did you think that fast?
And I was like, hey, do you guys have anything I can cover my face? Do you have diapers? They handed me 3 diapers, and I was waiting, and I was just kind of pacing around because I started to fight like losing blood. And I was holding them on my face, and I was bleeding through them, and I got on my hands and knees. And I remember, because the tunnel kind of slopes down and I was at the bottom of it. And I remember looking up and seeing all of the headlights looking at me. And I remember just getting on my knees, and I just sat and I started praying. And I wasn't praying for God to, pull me through. I wasn't praying for God in any sense. I was just saying, hey, God, thank you for who you are and who you have been to me. If this is my time, take me, and thank you. And I love you. I appreciate everything you've done for my life, but I hope this isn't my time. And if you could put your hand over me in this situation, whatever your will is, I will align with that. And it took me, no, I'm not married, Jenna.
Jenna, Jesus, let him talk. Pick up on him later.
But it took about 13 minutes for the ambulance to come. And I was just kind of waiting there for the ambulance, really fighting. I don't really remember much. But I remember getting in the ambulance, and I just look at the guys and I'm like, hey guys, this is really going to hurt. I have a feeling, and I'm starting to feel it. Could you pump me full of stuff? So they pumped me full of 300 micrograms of fentanyl, which Jesus, I didn't know where I was. I didn't feel anything. And then I was just like, hey, would you guys mind sedating me? Because I started kind of feeling anxious, and I was like, would you mind sedating me? And they pumped me full of 100 micrograms of ketamine, which I don't recommend anybody do that recreationally, because that was an awful experience medically. I just didn't know where I was, and I was sitting in the back of the ambulance. And all I remember on that trip was, first off, it took a really long time to get to the hospital, it seemed. And second off, I look back at the EMTs, because they were talking into the dispatcher, whoever, the hospital, and I heard one of them say, hey, our patient is severely critical. He's 50-50. It's not looking great. Jesus. So I have tattoos all over me. And I remember I couldn't see my tattoos. There was so much blood. And I turned back when he said, hey, he's 50-50. It's not looking great. And I was like, who? I was like, me? I was like, that's not me. And then I remember they pulled me in, wheeled me into the trauma bay, cut all my clothes off, which, you know, it was just a blessing that there were that many doctors in that room. And then the funniest part, so I don't want to show any graphic pictures I could pull up on my phone, but
I've seen them. I'm still pissed at you, though, on a side note, that you didn't get to keep the eye. Because right now, huh?
That's what I said. I was like, what? Can I have my eye? And they were like, we're saying it's a pathology. I would have put it on like a necklace or something, would have kept it in a jar.
So are you right now? You're rolling no eye in there. It's just skin. Let it rain.
It's glass.
It's there.
It's a glass former. Yeah, so you can kind of see the bottom of it right there.
Are you going to get like a design or something?
I could. The only thing is they're just so expensive, and I'm just like rocking with this, and that's that. But anyways, let me tell you this. I think you'll find this is funny. So I was in my hospital room, and so my nose, obviously where the scar is, was split open, and I literally had my own like train whistle, and I was sitting there, and I was so out of it from the pain meds that I twisted a like a napkin up or a tissue up, and I was like, my nose is stuffed up. I need to breathe out of my nose, and I put it in my nose. And I had people in my room, all of my like friends and family that rushed to the hospital to see me, and I put this tissue in my nose, and I was twisting it to try to like clear out my nose because I couldn't like blow my nose or anything. And it starts coming out and waving at everybody out of the top. But the thing that pissed me off, nobody had the heart to tell me that happened. So here I am making a fool of myself, putting tissues out my nose that are waving to the crowd, and I'm just sitting there like oblivious to everything.
Oh, I would have said, hey, Rowan, what's with the two party favors right now?
Yeah.
You know, I would have done that. I would have been like, hey, man, you got two party favors doing little dances. You look like a double unicorn.
Yeah. So that was funny about it. But the amount of support that I've gotten from people showing up, people in the hospital thought I was famous with how many people came and saw me. My dad even looked at me and he was like, Rowan, with how much of kind of abrasive you are, I'm so surprised with all the support that you've had. And I'm like, thanks, Dad. That's really nice to say. I said, I'm pretty good at relationship building, I think. So it was great. I think I had probably 200 people come and see me.
Jesus.
And it was just a blessing. But I mean, the visit limit was like 2 people per room, but they put me at like a back room that no one could see. So luckily my mom worked at the hospital too. So it was, they did some of their own party favors for me.
Well, this is one of the most amazing stories when your dad told me, and then I talked to you the next day and you were just so upbeat. I was like, what the hell? Like I was expecting, okay, Rubio's going to have to come in here and play a counselor, and it's okay. You'll be fine. You're not going to make a lot of right turns, but we'll be okay. And you were just like, that's what even AC of AC Sports Live comes on 9. He was talking. He's like, dude, that kid is amazing. I'm like, I know. It's just so, but I do. I mean, I'm a big believer, like I've obviously said on the beginning of the show, that everything happens for a reason. And yeah, I guess it sucks that you lost your right eye, but like you said, it affected so many people in a positive way that it's hard not to look at this and say, there's got to be something else out there, because holy hell.
Yeah, and it's been a long time coming. My whole testimony has been strengthened from it, and we're just touching the tip of the iceberg. So happy to connect with anybody who's watching it to go over that. I mean, it's been a blessing. But I mean, the only hard part about all of this, aside from the emotional part, because we're still working through all of that. I just lost an eye. Is my depth perception. Like things are always either further or less than what I think they are. So when I think back in the context of my career with you, Rubio, I think of Jake Olson from USC, blind long snapper. How the hell did he do that?
Well, it was probably easier because he had no sight, so there was no. I mean, you don't know depth perception, because we had Jake Munoz, also Aaron Golub. I had, basically 3, and I think with probably 0 eyes, it'd probably be almost easier because there's nothing playing with your mind doing this.
Listen, I don't know. Whatever it is, I don't know, but I got a lot of respect for those guys. I mean, much, much better long snappers than I could be with.
Well, and Rowan, I think everyone watching or going to listen to this has a lot of respect for you. We really appreciate you coming on. Keep up the good fight. And we'll obviously, I'm going to probably have you on every couple of months just because you energize me and you make me feel good, which that's a little bit selfish, but I don't give a shit. So
hey, I'm here for it. I really appreciate you, Rubio. I appreciate everything that you've done.
Not a problem. So people can check you out on LinkedIn, Facebook, and then betterman.com. And they just have to search like Ohio or.
You can just do betterman.com. Betterman.com is the overarching ministry that I pull our ministry from. So they can start their own groups there. But if they want to connect with me, they're welcome to shoot me a text. If you guys want to put my number in the chat, or if I can just say it, 614-917-3770. Again, that's 614-917-3770. If you guys want to shoot me a text, happy to connect with you guys, throw you in my Better Man group. Or if you just want to chit chat, I'm happy to talk my testimony, talk, how Rubio has helped me throughout my entire life and helped me and my family. So Rubio, for your information, Liam just bought a very, very nice house down in Georgia.
I know. I saw pictures of it. We talked about decorating. We talked about how he's going to have to pay for movers because he refused to do that because he's making a little coin now. I sat with your brother for like 48 hours. We had some wild conversations. That's all I'm going to say. Liam is his older brother. He's married, Jenna. Okay. Rowan is single. Rowan, are you single right now?
No, I'm not.
You're okay. Jenna, I apologize. Okay. Too bad. Rowan, thank you very much. Jenna, I'm going to go to the last segment right now. Roen McCullough, everyone. Thank you very much, Rowan.